All right, Shalom. I'm going to start off with giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Habakakadash. Love honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. And this is just another news and prophecy update through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. So without further ado, let's get straight into the lesson.
Now to the latest on the COVID vaccines. A major airline CEO saying eventually all international passengers will be required to show proof of vaccination. This is raising new questions on how far vaccine rules will go. Our James Longman is in London with all the details this morning. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Michael. Yeah, COVID-19 has already taken so much from us, not least the chance to go on vacation. But just how will large numbers of people feel safe getting back on a plane again? Well, one airline is saying you may have to have the vaccine before they let you fly.
Overnight, one of the world's top airlines, Qantas, has announced all international passengers may soon be mandated to start getting the COVID-19 vaccination in order to fly.
What we're looking at is how you can have a vaccination, a passport, an electronic version of it that certifies what the vaccine is it acceptable to the country you're travelling to.
The CEO of Qantas saying he expects other airlines to now follow suit.
Talking to my colleagues in other airlines around the globe, and I think it's going to be a common theme across the board.
And we could soon see similar requirements in other parts of our lives.
Airlines, businesses, and schools are going to be concerned about legal liability if anybody contracts COVID-19 on a plane or in a school or at a place of employment.
Essential workers will likely be required to get the vaccine, but the pushback against forcing people to take vaccines could be fierce. According to a recent study, half of Americans say they aren't willing to take an FDA-backed vaccine.
There are going to be many lawsuits from people saying, I don't want to take that vaccine, but it might be very difficult for them to prevail on these lawsuits.
There's also talk of an app on your cell phone that'll function a bit like a COVID passport. It'll have details of your inoculation as well as details of the travel restrictions in place in the country you're heading to. There's a lot of new stuff to get used to. Michael?
It'll be interesting to see what the public response will be to that, James. Thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.
All right, so there you have it. That was the first clip I wanted to go through. So you see what they were doing, okay, and what they were speaking of. And as we've been saying, you know, E is not going to force you to take vaccine necessarily, because what he's going to do is he's going to set up a society. He's going to set up a system where it's either you get with the program or you be left out. Okay, same situation. I always bring up how, you know, when I first, one of my debit cards that I have, you know, well, actually all of them now, but when they first started a few years back, you know, they didn't ask me if I wanted to switch to the debit card with the chip. It was a requirement. It was either you deal with this type of debit card, credit card, you know, with this bank, or you're no longer going to have access to your account this way. Okay, and what it said was in the letter, I can remember it a little bit. It said, within 30 days, this old one will deactivate, and you will have to activate the new one with the chip inside it. So this is what they're going to do. They're going to use the same system and set it up. Whereas if you don't upgrade or you don't comply with the way they're setting up, then you will no longer be, you know, you will no longer be a part of them. All right. So this is how this is going to come about. We know this with everything. So this is dealing with travel. Travel is the first thing, or first thing that we know of, which we're pushing heavy of. You cannot travel without the vaccine, okay, without having proof of the vaccine, a vaccine passport, so to speak. All right. Another thing, going to this. Bloomberg.com, it says restaurant closings top in 110,000 with or top 110,000 with industry in free fall. says more than 110,000 restaurants have closed permanently or long-term across the country as the industry grapples with the devastating impact of the Crown Royal 19 pandemic. And more pain is ahead with the potential shutdown of indoor dining in New York City just as temperatures drop. The nationwide tally representing 1 in 6 U.S. eateries is among the findings of a survey released Monday by the National Restaurant Association. The figure was up from about 100,000 shutdowns in September survey. The Washington-based trade group shared the latest results with congressional leaders in an attempt to secure financial support for a sector rocked by rising costs and failing sales. The restaurant industry simply cannot wait for relief any longer, Sean Kennedy, Executive Vice President of Public Affairs at the association, said in a letter to Congress. What these findings make clear is that more than 500,000 restaurants of every business type, franchise, chain, and independent are in an economic freefall. As people continue to stay and eat at home and new indoor dining bans emerge across the country, restaurateurs have struggled to keep up sales, with many of the hardest hit areas in states such as New York and Illinois. Almost 90% of full-service restaurants in the survey reported declines, with revenue failing 36% on average. So you see, man, and what you are witnessing is prophecy. What you are witnessing is everything is getting shut down. You know, the grinding is starting to cease. So this is what you're witnessing. The grinding is starting to cease. All right. So without further ado, let's go into the scriptures. Let's go get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 1. It says, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them." So we are letting our people know that, hey, we are headed towards some bad times. Okay? Now is the time to remember thy Creator. For the bad times we're entering in, Jacob's trouble, right? The wrath that Esau is about to come down with upon our nation, because he knows if he has a short time, right? And speak about in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, how it's going to be so bad, man. It's going to be a time like never before, where Michael the Archangel is going to have to stand up for us. You know? So these are the times that we're entering in. A time of famine, a time of destruction, a time of pestilence, a time of all-out chaos and war and riots in the streets, man. Sedition among men. These are the times that we're coming in. So now it's time to come back and repent and return back to Yahweh Shem Yahushua if you're an Israelite. Verse 2, it says, "While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, and the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." Okay, and that's what you're witnessing. You're witnessing the grinding starting to cease. Okay, more businesses are closing down. Businesses cannot flourish anymore due to this pandemic. All right, yeah, they gave the example, restaurants, because a lot of people like to eat out. Okay, and without that eating out, people don't want to just go pick up their food. They like to sit down and, with their family and enjoy their time and enjoy their meal. But then another thing on top of that is a lot of people can barely go out to eat. So they got to eat at home, and they got to put scraps together because they're already in an almost destitute state dealing with this whole pandemic situation. A lot of people were faced with unemployment, which that's about to get cut off, I believe, towards the end of the month. A lot of people will have a loss of job. Okay, so people don't have the extra money to go spend to go sit down and eat as well. So it would be better than them to go to the store, get what they get, and put some scraps together and make it through the day. But these places are through, man. And the only places that's going to be able to stand very soon, right, very, very soon, is going to be these big box restaurants, these big chain restaurants and different franchises, you know what I mean? Such as like Costco and Walmarts and maybe Sam's Club, BJ's, things like that. Franchise places like Mickey D's, Wendy's, maybe Arby's, but things like Dairy Queen and the little mom and pop shop corner stores and the little Italian restaurants, all that shit, all of them is about to be through, especially with coming these next lockdowns. So the grinding is ceasing as we speak. As you see here, they even have the tracking Crown Royal, right? New cases, as of today, the total deaths this is as they say, quote unquote, right? Most new cases today, boom. Look at that. So you see. Continuing on, it says expenses are climbing amid the pandemic, with 59% of operators saying their total labor costs as a percentage of sales are higher than they were pre-pandemic. There you go, see? Read more. Indoor dining goes dark across the U.S., deepening restaurants' pain. I just witnessing a woman out LA speaking about how she couldn't do indoor, so she did an outdoor dining area set up. But the county in LA, shut it down. But then they allowed a movie, I believe they were like directing a film, or a movie theater had their outdoor thing going on, but they let them still stand. She was complaining how she couldn't survive, that she was hurting, and that was her only chance to basically get what she could get, but they shut her down. So you people are in for a rude awakening, man. All you people that was living proud, all you people that was living lofty, you know what I mean? All you people that was dwelling without care, and this is mainly towards you Edomites, even a lot of you rich jakes, and I mean, in 2/3 too, but all you people that was just used to living comfortably, middle class, so to speak, you about to go through it, man. You are about to go through it. Because as this pandemic increases, the rich continue to get rich, but you continue to stay in the same financial situation or crisis, or even you go further down a hole. All right. So it says the industry has pleaded for aid, with many pinning their hopes on the Restaurants Act, which would establish a $120 million bill fund to help restaurants, as well as a second draw of the Paycheck Protection Program. In the meantime, the sector faces dire prospects. 37% of operators say it's unlikely that restaurants will be still be in business 6 months from now if there are no additional government relief packages. According to their survey, more than 1 in 3 operators are considering temporarily closing until conditions improve. All right, and guess what? Conditions are not going to improve. So guess what? You are going to be through. All right, you're going to be through. Let's read a little bit more. It says the pain is felt among publicly traded chains as well as independent establishments. And S&P index restaurant stocks fell as much as 1.3% Monday, with Dave & Buster's Entertainment Inc., BJ's Restaurant Inc., and Cheesecake Factory Inc. amongst the biggest decliners. Each have relatively large exposure to California, which continues to be rattled by lockdowns, wildfires, and forced power outages. So you see what's going on, man. Okay, the grinding is starting to cease. Okay, and you people are going to feel it at a higher level than what you ever expected. All right, let's read this one. This one from ZeroHedge.com. It says no vax, no work. Employers discuss making COVID immunity mandatory for workers, and we knew this was coming down the line. All right, unless you're going to, sacrifice yourself and take old Maxine, right? You're going to be out of work, right? You are going to be out of work. It says public opinion polls from the past couple of weeks appear to show a growing number of Americans are planning to get the vaccine, right? Because people are down to their knees. People are down to their knees, and he knew what he was doing, how he was setting this thing up, right? And this is all leading to the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, mind you. It says even Dr. Fauci hinted that the UK's decision to grant emergency approval to Pfizer's mRNA vaccine might have been somewhat rushed, right? But who cares, right? People don't care. They still want to take it because they guinea pigs. Hanging on, it says, but as the UK prepares to start delivering the first jabs in a week, industries are jockeying to try and get their workers designated as essential so they can have faster access to the vaccine for many profits and ultimately on the line. Even though many Americans believe it's morally reprehensible to fire someone for refusing to take a vaccine, some companies and industry groups are planning to require workers to be vaccinated as a precondition before returning to work. Maybe they think taking it such a public stand might help them secure supplies for their vaccines more quickly. All right, whatever the reason, even for white-collar workers who have been comfortably in scorn and concern and consist in their homes, apartments for the last 9 months, the subtext is pretty clear. No max, no work. And see, this is what they coming with, you know, and this is why we got to put our faith in Yahweh Shemel Shah, because, you know, we're not taking that max, man. Ultimately, with the elect, we're not taking that the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast, which we know all this is leading to. Okay, so we got to, you know, up our faith more than ever, man. Continue to pray more and more, because this is what's coming down the pipeline. And without this max, they're going to condemn you a terrorist. They're going to, you know, look at you as I already said terrorist. They're going to look at you as someone that's, you know, a danger to the public. Okay, so that can result in you being thrown into a concentration camp until they figure out if they can get you to change your mind. All right, so let's go to the book of Revelation 2, verse 10. It says, fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried. You shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So everything we about to go through, you know, this whole trial period, hey, man, we gotta stay faithful unto death, man, you know. Whether it's starting to come down to the vaccine, to the mark of the beast, for the witness and testimony of Yahweh Shemel Shah, hey, we got to stay faithful unto death, because this is how they're going to come, and they want us to deny our power, okay? They want to witness us deny our power in front of them, you know, and be subject unto them and sell our soul into them, okay? But we got to stand firm to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. That one says Shalom.